coming in at this point in time, and viewers, there is a latest post by the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, who has said, and I quote, "Okay, it's like we've lost India and Russia to deepest, darkest China. May they have a long and prosperous future together." Let's go across to my colleague Meghna, who is joining us live from the newsroom. Meghna, tell us, what has Donald Trump posted now, and how should we really interpret this?
Well, Hina, in fact, let's show you this post which has been put out by the US President on Truth Social. He's first posted this picture. It's a very telling picture. It's a power pose. You have Prime Minister Modi right here, Xi Jinping, the President of China, and Vladimir Putin, the President of Russia. The three of them walking together. This is the moment which many have said is the worst nightmare for Donald Trump. It clearly has him rattled. He's posted this picture saying, "Looks like we've lost India and Russia to the deepest, darkest China. May they have a long and prosperous future together, President Donald J. Trump." He signed out. But what does he really mean when he says that we have lost India and Russia to the deepest, darkest China? If he really felt China was that deep, so dark, why are there a pause when it comes to the tariffs on China? Why is it that India was being penalized and now we are being told we are crossing over to the dark side? Is this how geopolitical politics is going to be carried out? Is this how bilaterals are going to be carried out? And is this how trade is going to be carried out? With this kind of vindictiveness is what many have been asking. But there you have it, Hina. It's quite open and out now.
Absolutely, and it also shows, Meghna, that the SCO summit, the optics, the pictures, the messaging that emerged from China in Tianjin specifically, they've done their job. I mean, you know, there was something that was being done geopolitically, and now you have the response coming in from Donald Trump himself. Thank you very much for the moment for joining us with your inputs. Let me go across to my colleague Rishabh as well, who's live with us right now. Rishabh, now, in a way, we all were expecting some kind of a reaction of Donald Trump on, you know, how these three leaders were walking together, the kind of bonhomie that was on display, and now it's clear that something somewhere has rattled Trump.
Well, this shows the insecurity of Washington when it comes to the regional alliances. India and China are the two, busting economy, and the way both the countries have been moving forward is something that is not going down well with, US. Russia, in a way, US has been accusing us of fueling Russia's war in Ukraine. And the moment these pictures started coming in from Tianjin, one thing was clear, that there is going to be a strong reaction coming in from Washington. We heard it from other officials to start with, but now the President of the United States has himself said that, looks like we have lost India and Russia to the deepest, darkest China. But in a way, very clearly, Donald Trump is not comfortable with the changing world order. What his, mindset was, what his expectation was, that using tariff, weaponizing tariff will help the U.S. to have all the countries and the leaders to be with U.S., begging him for something or other. But the way Russia, India, China, or for that matter, other countries as well, as small as Venezuela or Colombia for that matter, the way they have reacted, or Brazil has reacted, it is very clear that Washington's game plan is not paying off. It is actually backfiring. And that's why this frustrated post is coming in from Washington. The language of the post is undiplomatic, is also not very clear whether in the world of diplomacy such language is being used.
Right. Stay on with us, Rishabh. I'm also being joined on the phone line by Rabinder Sachdev, who is, in fact, an expert, international affairs expert and former diplomat. Good afternoon. Thank you for speaking with us here on Times Now. Your reaction to the latest post by US President Donald Trump. There's a picture that he's put out of the three leaders, Prime Minister Modi, President Xi and President Putin, and he says, "Okay, it's like we've lost India and Russia to deepest, darkest China. May they have a long and prosperous future together." How do you see this?
A couple of things. One, by the way, I happen to be in China right now. I'm here for the SCO summit of Media and Think Tanks Forum, which is reviewing the SCO outcomes of the leaders' meeting, right? So it's pretty interesting that this is being talked. Yeah, Trump seems to be, playing with some dark humor. If you see, this is his second tweet regarding this. His previous tweet or social truth posting was again talking about, a conspiracy being hashed between, the Kim, Putin and Xi Jinping. So he seems to be, this is a new form of communication I think he's getting into nowadays of, sarcastic comments. So I will leave it at that, but we do not think so. India doesn't take it that way. I think that, there are dark forces to which we are succumbing. We think we are good partners with each and every one of them, with the United States and Russia and China. We could be with each of them, depends how they work with us. And we will work with all positive, attitude. I do think that way. But yes, this seems to be Trump's, flavor of the season.
Okay, but Mr. Ravinder Sachdev, it's a loaded post. I'm sure you'll agree. So do you think this could really follow perhaps more tariffs, more sanctions? Because he's also mentioned, may they have a long and prosperous future together.
No, that is a loaded post. You're so very right. And I've been saying this for the past few weeks or over a month, that the sanctions or the tariffs that we face due to buying Russian oil, 25%, they could go up also, right? If he'll continue buying Russian oil, and Trump in his wisdom would turn around and say that, okay, fine, it's time to ramp up more tariffs on India. We do not know the path that Trump takes. So you're very right. It is somewhat of a dark tweet or a post.
All right. Ravinder Sachdev, foreign affairs expert there, speaking with us and sharing with us his perspective. Thank you very much for the moment for joining us with your inputs, Mr. Ravinder Sachdev. So this is the latest update that viewers we've got for you. Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America, has put out a post on Truth Social, and that's the post that I'm talking about, which you can see on your screens right now. He's put a picture of the three leaders who met in Tianjin in China for the SCO summit, and the kind of pictures that emerged, the kind of bonhomie, in fact, that emerged, it seems has rattled Donald Trump, and that's why he's now put out a post saying, okay, like we've lost India and Russia to the deepest, darkest China. Pathikrit Pine, who is a strategic affairs expert, is also now joining us on the broadcast. Good afternoon, Mr. Pine. Thank you for speaking with us here on Times Now. Your reaction to what Donald Trump has mentioned?
Well, good afternoon. First and foremost, these extremes. On one hand, he would call India a dead economy, and then he would say that we have lost India. I mean, we are neither a dead economy. We are
Greeks and Italians. What do you have to say, your reaction to it, and essentially Indians being singled out in Australia?
Okay. Madhu?
सर मधुरेंद्र मैं न्यूज नेशन से जैसा कि अभी ट्रूथ सोशल पर ट्रंप ने लिखा कि भारत अब उनके हाथ से निकल चुका है और वो चीन और रूस के साथ जा चुका है, इस पर आपकी क्या प्रतिक्रिया है? और मेरा दूसरा सवाल यह है कि चीन के साथ भारत के संबंधों को देखें अगर पीएम की विजिट के बाद, तो क्या कोई बॉर्डर टॉक्स को लेकर आगे बढ़ती हुई चीज दिखाई दे रही है, और क्या कोई संभावनाएं दिख रही है कि भारत और चीन के जो सामरिक संबंध हैं वो पटरी पर लौटेंगे?
सर, अमेरिका से काफी विरोधाभासी बयान, प्रणय उपाध्याय हूं, इंडिया टुडे आज तक से, और मेरा सवाल है कि अमेरिका से काफी विरोधाभासी बयान आ रहे हैं। एक तरफ पीटर नवारो जो है रूस यूक्रेन की लड़ाई को मोदी का युद्ध कहते हैं, स्कॉट बेसेंट कहते हैं कि दोनों ही परिपक्व लोकतंत्र हैं, हम अपने विवादों को सुलझा लेंगे, डोनाल्ड ट्रंप कहते हैं कि ये रिलेशनशिप खो चुकी है अब। तो भारत अमेरिका के साथ संबंधों को किस तरीके से देखता है उस रणनीतिक साझेदारी में, तब जबकि हमारी फोर्सेस उनके साथ ज्वाइंट युद्धाभ्यास भी कर रही हैं, बहुत सारी चीजें अमेरिका के साथ चल रही हैं, इस संबंध को जोड़ने और बनाए रखने के लिए भारत की तरफ से क्या प्रयास हैं?
Okay, Aishi.
So this is Aisha from ANI. The Prime Minister of Nepal, during a meeting with Chinese President Xi in Tianjin, has once again objected to India restarting trade through the Lipu Lake Pass, saying that the territory belongs to Nepal. Any comments on such objections?
Okay, first let me come to Kadambini, your question regarding the post. I have no comments to offer on this post at this point. मधु, ये आपका सवाल भी इस पे था, तो इस पे हमारे पास अभी टिप्पणी करने के लिए कुछ नहीं है. इनका मैं बाद में जवाब देता हूं. Siddhant, your question regarding the protests that we saw in Australia. We all are aware that anti-immigrant protests happened in several cities in Australia on 31st of August. Our High Commissioner and our Consulates General in Australia, they were in regular touch with the Australian government as also with our community members in this regard. As you know that we have a large diaspora in Australia, almost about 1 million. Before the protest took place, our High Commission conveyed whatever concerns that were shared with them by the Indian community members to the Australian government. In response, we actually received a formal response from the Australian side where they acknowledged that the protests in Australia may be of concern for Australia's diverse communities. At the same time, you would have seen that senior leaders and politicians, both from the Australian government side and also from the opposition side, they have issued statements supporting the multicultural identity of Australia. They've also recognized the role played by the Australian community in the overall progress and development of Australia, and they appreciate and acknowledge this role very much. On our side, we continue to firmly believe that diversity is strength. We value a comprehensive strategic partnership with Australia, of which our people-to-people ties are a very important element, and in fact, it bolsters our strategic ties. And the Government of India remains committed to securing the welfare and well-being of all Indians abroad, and we are in touch with the Australian government, as also with our diaspora organization in Australia in regard to the developments that are happening. जैसा कि आपको ज्ञात होगा कि 31 अगस्त को ऑस्ट्रेलिया के कई शहरों में विरोध प्रदर्शन हुए, एंटी इमिग्रेशन विरोध प्रदर्शन हुए. हमारे जो उच्चायोग वहाँ हैं और हमारे जो कौंसुलावास, कई एक कौंसुलावास जो ऑस्ट्रेलिया में है, इस मुद्दे पर, इस मसले पर वहाँ के सरकार के साथ और वहाँ के भारतीय समुदाय के साथ इस पर संपर्क बनाए रखा है उन्होंने. और प्रोटेस्ट जब विरोध प्रदर्शन हुआ उससे पहले भी जो उनसे जो साझा किया गया चिंताएं हमारे समाज की, वो ऑस्ट्रेलिया सरकार के सामने में हम लोग रखा. हम लोगों को ऑस्ट्रेलिया सरकार की तरफ से जवाब आया कि वो मानते हैं कि ये चिंताएं, ये प्रोटेस्ट को लेके, विरोध प्रदर्शन को लेके जो चिंताएं हैं वहाँ के अलग अलग समुदाय के लोगों के लिए वो एक मसला है. और आपने देखा होगा कि वहाँ पर बहुत सारे राजनेतागण, साथ ही में जो सीनियर लीडर्स हैं दोनों तरफ से, सरकार की तरफ से और विपक्ष की तरफ से, उन्होंने कई एक स्टेटमेंट जारी किया है, ये कहते हुए कि ऑस्ट्रेलिया एक बहुसांस्कृतिक समाज है, मल्टीकल्चरल समाज है और उसमें हर पक्ष का, हर समुदाय का योगदान है. उन्होंने भारतीय समुदाय की जो वहाँ पर कंट्रीब्यूशन है जो
All right, so that's the weekly press briefing by Ministry of External Affairs, and a number of questions, of course, were asked on the latest post by US President Donald Trump, the one that you can also see on your screens right now, where he seems to, be getting rattled with the Troika, the three leaders walking together, because he's posted a picture as well of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, President Xi and President Putin in Tianjin in China earlier for the SCO summit. And MEA had only one thing to say, that as of now, they don't have any comments to offer on this post by US President Donald Trump. So far, we've not got any reaction from the Ministry of External Affairs on this. How is New Delhi going to view this particular reaction from Donald Trump? I mean, we'll have to wait for a reaction on that. But this is a very, very interesting update that we've got for you. After the SCO summit got over in Tianjin, the pictures that in fact emerged, after those pictures emerged, several people from Trump administration, from America, also in a way seem to suggest that it is Donald Trump himself and his actions that are responsible for actually pushing India closer to China as well as Russia. And that included US Senator Dick Durbin as well, who had also said recently that Donald Trump's tariffs have pushed India closer to China and Russia. And now with this latest post, American President Donald Trump seems to be taking a dig and saying that, okay, it's like we've lost India and Russia to deepest, darkest China. He's also said, may they have a long and prosperous future together. Now, remember, viewers, this post has come days after Prime Minister Modi, Chinese President Xi and Russian President Putin met for the SCO summit in Tianjin in Russia. As of now, no comments there coming in from the Ministry of External Affairs, but one thing is clear, the optics, the pictures clearly have rattled US President Donald Trump. But what will be the reaction to this? That remains to be seen. Whether this will mean more tariffs on India, we do not know, because here, on one hand, we also know that America is negotiating a trade deal with China, and that's the reason why they have, some kind of a tariff pause there that is continuing. But simultaneously, in this post, US President Donald Trump has termed China as deepest and darkest. I mean, that is why many are finding it quite bizarre as to what really is it that he wants to say. We were speaking with some experts as well earlier, like Pathikrit Pine, who said that on one hand, he calls India a dead economy, and now he's trying to suggest that India and Russia have been lost to China by US. Let's go across to my colleague Srinjoy Chaudhary, who is joining us for more on this. Srinjoy, it's a loaded post by US President Donald Trump. How do you interpret what he has said, and what can really follow next, in your opinion?
Well, first of all, the Indian government, the External Affairs spokesman, has just said that he would not like to comment on it. But as far as Peter Navarro's statements have been concerned, he has said that there is a complete disagreement with what Peter Navarro has said about India. Now, as far as the latest statement by the president is concerned, it really reflects poorly not on India or anybody else, but his own State Department. Because if you say we've lost India and we've lost Russia, what does it say about Foggy Bottom? What does it say about all these officials of the State Department? What does it say about Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State? The point is, you are saying you've lost two countries with a population of 1.5 billion. And that's a huge percentage of the world's population. And if they've been lost, then what does it say about America? What does it say about American diplomacy, American foreign policy? Now you would know that there hasn't been Donald Trump. So you would also imagine that when President Trump says things, it's the way it is. He's very different.
Right. I think that's a bad line out there, Srinjoy. I request you to please stay on with us. We'll try and fix that and come back to you. But viewers, this is the big story that we are getting for you at this point in time. We've got Donald Trump, US President, in fact, making a cryptic post expressing, thinning hopes, in fact, of a trade deal with India, posting a picture of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Chinese President Xi and Russian President Putin. He said it seemed that the US had lost India and Russia to deepest, darkest China. He says, looks like we've lost India and Russia to deepest, darkest China. May they have a long and prosperous future together, is what he has now put out. And this came just moments before the scheduled press conference by Ministry of External Affairs. And this question, of course, was asked, and MEA said that as of now, we have no comments to offer on this particular issue. Now, remember, viewers, this post by Donald Trump has come after he hinted at phase 2 and 3 tariffs over its continued purchase of Russian oil. Now, this is something that he had said about India. In fact, he had said that cost hundreds of billions of dollars to Russia. You call that no action? Then I have not done phase 2 yet or phase 3. 2 weeks ago, I said if India buys, India has got big problems, and that's what happened. So this is what Trump had said a couple of days ago. Pathikrit Pine, strategic affairs expert, is back with us on the phone line. Sorry, we had to go across to the MEAPC earlier. You were making a point about your interpretation of Donald Trump's latest post.
Good evening. See, I think the problem with President Trump is that he has been extremes. Once he calls India a dead economy, then if you look at today's comment, it's as if he regrets whatever has happened in terms of Prime Minister Modi joining the SCO summit. Look, we are neither a dead economy Neither we are submissive nor we are hegemonic. We are an independent country. We believe in having good relations with all the countries. So if you look at India going in that SCO summit, that is extremely important for India to have functional working relationship with China. At the same time, United States remain a strategic partner. We have never seen any wrong, negative comments being made by government of India against United States or its government. The problem has been from the White House. So I think, to presume that we have gone to the other side, I think we still continue to maintain our strategic autonomy.
Right.
We are as much committed and invested towards our relationship with Western Hemisphere as it is with Asian countries. And that is something the White House must understand.
Mr. Pine, if we look at the statement carefully, like he's also mentioned, may they have a long and prosperous future together. Is it also in a way, dimming hopes of a trade deal, between India and America? Because just a few days ago, we heard Union Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal saying that we are expecting a trade deal perhaps by November.
Well, I think if the definition of trade deal by White House or Trump administration is that India would necessarily have to open up the dairy, poultry, agriculture and the fisheries market, then I think the trade deal will not happen. Otherwise, a mini trade deal is definitely on the cards, and I think India would be okay with that. But if the Trump administration remains adamant, then it's not going to happen. If you look at the statement by the president of Finland yesterday, when he mentioned that there has to be, Trump administration's approach towards India has to be cohesive and dignified. It cannot be one-sided dictation of terms. If that continues, then there will be no trade. But if they understand our considerations, that India is a country of 1.5 billion people, you have to take care of the livelihood of 150 million farmers. It is impossible for any prime minister of this country, any government of this country, to accept the conditions being imposed by United States. And in that case, being India first, we have to, stick to our points. Otherwise, having more strategic cooperation, business cooperation with Americans is all welcome. There are major areas of convergence and collaborations in, quantum computing, robotics, AI, semiconductors, which is already happening. Even if Trump administration thinks that it's all over, I don't think Wall Street believes that. If you look at the recently held semiconductor conference in Delhi, there is huge amount of interest being shown by Wall Street so far as investing in India's market is concerned.
Right. Mr. Patrikrit Prine, I'm just requesting you to stay on with us. In fact, we have more updates coming in from the Ministry of External Affairs. Now, on what Peter Navarro has said, there has been a reaction, in fact, from Ministry of External Affairs. In fact, the MEA says we have seen the inaccurate and misleading comments from Peter Navarro and we reject